Get ready to crazy stuff by Dixie Creek, a tiny desert stream near Elko, Nevada, that's had an incredible makeover. For decades, this area was as dry as the surrounding desert landscape, with only rocky outcrops breaking up the barren banks. But then, nature's ultimate engineers, the Beavers, stepped in and flipped the script. It took them 30 whole years to transform this forgotten creek into a lush oasis teeming with life, and that's what we call a true desert miracle. Check out these jaw-dropping before and after photos. It's hard to believe they're from the same place. The after pic was even snapped during an intense drought, making the Beavers' handiwork nothing short of extraordinary. In the heart of Nevada's Elko Desert lies an extraordinary tale of transformation, the story of Dixie Creek. It all began when European settlers unwittingly introduced an unwelcome guest overgrazing by cows. These roaming livestock devoured every last plant along the creek, leaving behind a barren wasteland that drained the water away. And they weren't alone. Many other area creeks met a similar fate, their names now serving as a memory of what once was. However, in the late 1980s, biologists took action, encouraging local farmers to implement more sustainable grazing practices, allowing the plants to reclaim their spot in this arid landscape. Little did they know, nature had one final surprise up its sleeve. In this incredible desert turnaround story, the arrival of beavers brought a game-changing boost. They constructed dams that slowed down rushing water and let it collect instead of just flowing away downstream. This innovative act led to the expansion of ponds, rising groundwater levels, and lush vegetation, transforming barren landscapes into vibrant oases teeming with wildlife. But what exactly happens in our desert ecosystems where water is scarce? Unlike more temperate zones, deserts see extremely limited rainfall most of the time, leaving their streams either dry or barely trickling, making every drop count for survival. But what if we told you there's an extraordinary example of nature's engineering prowess that has been quietly changing American deserts for centuries? Meet the beaver, nature's ultimate water wizards. When it comes to these incredible creatures and their dams, they're not just about creating a cozy home, they're game changers for entire ecosystems. By constructing sturdy barriers with nothing but mud and sticks, beavers have shown that even in harsh desert conditions, they can transform barren landscapes into thriving oases. They start by laying down rock foundations and then skillfully weave together fallen trees and branches to create their dams. Using their remarkable teeth, beavers not only snack on twig bark for a sweet treat, but also harvest materials for building. As the seasons pass, sand plants silt, and even algae fortify these structures, making them incredibly robust and resilient. And the magic happens: water collects behind the dam, raising groundwater levels, expanding ponds, and bringing life to once barren areas. Imagine stumbling upon an ancient time capsule from over 125,000 years ago in the American deserts. A perfectly preserved fossilized beaver dam discovered by scientists in 2005. This remarkable find not only gives us a glimpse into the past, but also highlights how these incredible structures have been quietly shaping ecosystems for millennia. When beavers call an area home, they create thriving beaver ponds where plant life explodes and animals move right on in. However, just like any homeowner, beavers can get restless. If their favorite trees disappear or other reasons drive them away, off they go. As soon as the beaver moves out, its remarkable dam slowly starts to break down. Water seeps back into the ground, and what's left is a nutrient-rich mix of mud, twigs, leaves, essentially nature's perfect compost pile. Here's a new version of the paragraph, and picture this: an old beaver pond transforming into an idyllic meadow after years of drying out, a true testament to nature's incredible renewal process. Once home to thriving plant life and animals, the area now teems with grazing creatures, and before long, it could morph into a lush landscape. But here's the amazing part. Even though the dam breaks down and the water returns to its original creek path, this isn't the end of the beavers' story. They're just waiting for their favorite trees to grow back. As aspen, willow, and other riparian species begin to sprout, our furry friends return to build new homes and create another stunning dam. This isn't merely a cycle, it's a key to life in water-scarce environments like Utah's arid regions. By introducing beavers there, conservationists aim to boost not just the landscape but also water availability for native wildlife facing habitat loss due to global warming. With one dam, these incredible engineers can elevate the lives of fish, insects, plants, birds, and mammals alike. It truly is a remarkable tale of coexistence. Beavers are like Mother Nature's own engineers, using their incredible skills and natural tools, sheath, powerful paws, and agile tails, to transform landscapes without breaking the bank. Their dams bring wetlands to life by creating a constant supply of water, but they're not just about making things soggy. One of the coolest things about beaver dams is how they manage flooding like pros. With their cleverly designed freeboard above the water level, these little engineers can handle heavy rainfall without turning into catastrophe. When the water rises, the excess gets released gradually, reducing the peak flood height and saving nearby communities from potential damage. Plus, as the water flows over a broader area, it slowly seeps back into the ground, replenishing underground aquifers and recharging our precious water sources. Who knew that these furry critters could be such superheroes for our environment? Beavers, the ultimate wildlife engineers. With their remarkable beaver dams and headwaters, these incredible creatures masterfully manipulate high and low water levels. They skillfully balance nature's extremes by naturally regulating stream flow. Imagine a single structure that can prevent both devastating floods and agonizing droughts. That's exactly what beaver dams deliver. They're like Mother Nature's all-in-one water control systems. By creating these barriers in streams, beavers significantly alter landscapes for the better. Their dams store more water on floodplains, re-establishing vital connections between these areas and rivers. As a result, the flow of water gets slowed down, protecting against erosion and changing how nutrients and chemicals are circulated throughout ponds and rivers. And with sediment building up behind the dams, it impacts water quality downstream, proving that beavers truly are unsung heroes for our environment. Beaver ponds, the incredible water filtration systems. They sift and hold onto nutrients and pollutants like pros, releasing cleaner water downstream. Think about it, by slowing down water flow with their dams, beavers not only prevent erosion, but also make it deeper, resulting in better water quality. But wait, there's more. Did you know that beaver ponds can even help remove nitrogen from the water? Here's why: when farmers use nitrogen fertilizers, they can end up in nearby streams, fueling an algae explosion. Research shows us that having healthy beaver populations around is just what nature needs to naturally keep these excess nutrients at bay. Here's a fresh approach for your viewers. Imagine a forest on fire, a common sight in areas without natural water barriers. But what if I told you beavers have our backs when it comes to preventing these disasters? Their pond building skills actually create a protective ring around the surrounding area. The deep, slow-moving water not only starves fires of oxygen, but also acts as a cooling system, slowing down flames from spreading. Moreover, the surrounding vegetation stays greener and healthier due to beaver ponds' efficient nutrient management, making it less likely for dry leaves or twigs to catch fire. It's like having Mother Nature's firefighters on board. Here's how I'd rephrase your paragraph with a touch of energy and simplicity while maintaining cohesion. Picture it: a wildfire ravaging through dry land, but then there's a beaver-made haven in sight. Beaver dams don't just create ponds, they carve out safe zones for animals during these fiery disasters. These lush green oases, untouched by flames, provide a tranquil space amidst the chaos. As you said, water doesn't burn, and that's why these wetlands stay intact while everything else around them scorches. This natural shield not only protects beavers, but also offers refuge to various creatures like fish, frogs, birds, and small mammals. Think of it as an animal heading out from the flames. But here's a question: how do beavers' incredible engineering skills play a role in this survival story? Let's dive into how both bustling and abandoned beaver homes provide sanctuary to a wide variety of animals. For instance, these structures serve as ideal nesting spots for waterfowl, offering them a safe place to raise their young ones. Besides that, fallen trees found in or around beaver lodges attract other mammals, giving them an additional source of food and shelter. And when it comes to arid regions, let's not forget the life-saving role water plays. It's a lifeline for many animals, including livestock. In areas where beavers have built their dams, fish populations flourish as well, with no competition from these amazing creatures. Interestingly, researchers are studying how exactly these dams impact salmon populations. Now, here's a fascinating part: beaver ponds become a haven for various insects, serving as an essential food source for animals like salmon. And did you know that beavers also help regulate the water temperature in their ponds by creating different zones? This unique feature makes every corner of their home a cozy spot for all creatures to enjoy. Beavers are the ultimate unsung heroes when it comes to habitat creation. These incredible creatures single-handedly boost biodiversity around their dams by offering protected zones for tadpoles of frogs and toads to grow strong in warm, oxygen-rich waters. Their remarkable engineering skills also make beaver ponds a haven for songbirds, from migratory species to year-round residents. These feathered friends love the diverse food sources and cozy homes that come with beaver-made habitats. And let's not forget about waterfowl. Ducks thrive in the wet environments created by beavers, finding safe spots amidst fallen trees, turned driftwood, and nesting sites along the shores of these ponds. Research confirms what we're seeing here. Beaver dams are biodiversity hotspots compared to other bodies of water. By felling trees and crafting unique spaces, beavers unknowingly create an inviting environment that attracts a wide range of species, from tiny insects to large mammals. And as if all this wasn't amazing enough, they do it all for free. The incredible impact of beavers goes beyond their natural ecosystem. extending its benefits to us humans as well. By investing in nature restoration and conservation, people worldwide are essentially paying it forward for our planet's well-being. But what if we told you there's an even more valuable, selfless asset hard at work? Beavers' ecological contributions have been estimated to be worth a whopping $32 million annually. And they didn't ask for a cent. But let's go back in time for a moment. The fur trade nearly wiped out these eco-warriors from Scotland to Russia and Canada to Mexico, with only a small population remaining by the late 1900s. It wasn't until recent research and conservation efforts that their numbers started to recover. Today, we have around 10 million beavers worldwide, a far cry from the 100 million that once called North America home. Between the early 1800s and late 1900s, it's estimated that an astonishing 100 square miles of American wetlands were lost in this time period, highlighting just how crucial these ecological engineers are to our environment. The story of the beaver population decline is as much about our planet's past as it is about their resilience today. Did you know that back in the 1800s, the quest for luxury led to a devastating impact on these incredible creatures? Beaver pelts were all the rage in fashion, literally. The demand for hats made from their fur led to a massive decline in their numbers, with estimates suggesting over 100 square miles of American wetlands lost between the early 1800s and late 1900s. This wasn't just an ecological tragedy, it had far-reaching effects on our planet's landscape as well. Researchers suggest that the dry, barren image we often associate with the southwestern United States might be a direct result of this decline. Historically, New Mexico was teeming with life. Imagine it covered in lush ponds and swamps instead of hot sands. The absence of these remarkable engineers had severe consequences for countless other species as well. Take the salmon in California's Scott River, for example. They once relied on beaver-made ponds and canals as a safe haven to thrive. Today, we're seeing a glimmer of hope with conservation efforts and the slow but steady recovery of this vital ecosystem engineer, the beaver. The aftermath was nothing short of devastating, with no beavers left to maintain their dams. Those ancient structures crumbled, and the wetlands were slowly drained away. But that wasn't all. Gold mining came into play, turning Scott Resin into a post-industrial wasteland, burying what once flourished under heaps of waste. The salmon, which had long relied on beaver-made havens to thrive, vanished from the picture as well. This heartbreaking tale has been repeated across many rivers, painting an arid landscape in their wake. However, there's a glimmer of hope as people are finally coming around to the importance of these incredible creatures. The focus is now shifting towards reintroducing beavers to dry regions that desperately need them. We're talking about Utah and Nevada, areas you've seen showcased at the start of this video. Also in the works are plans to relocate beavers to Northern California, where they've reportedly become highly sought after. But here's the thing, not everyone sees these furry engineers as the heroes they truly are. Some folks have had enough of the beavers' handiwork, calling them pests after the animals cause damage to property, flood homes, and clog up irrigation systems. These complaints have led to a surge in trapping, often with devastating consequences for local ecosystems. Yet, this growing discontent has inadvertently pushed forward a movement that relocates these remarkable creatures instead of harming them. In Nevada, it all started, but similar programs are now thriving across the western United States. The U.S. Forest Service in Washington state cleverly leverages beavers to boost water levels for coho and chinook salmon populations, showcasing their value as ecological architects. Meanwhile, Colorado has found a middle ground by moving beavers from residential areas to spots where they can make a meaningful impact. You won't believe what happened in Idaho back in the 40s. The state's Department of Fish and Game launched an unforgettable mission: airborne beaver relocations. With World War II parachutes going to waste, they saw an opportunity to use them for a rather unusual purpose: beaver relocation. A forward-thinking department employee proposed this out-of-the-box idea to ease the rising tension between humans and these furry critters. The previous methods were expensive, and most relocated beavers didn't survive, so they decided to pack 76 beavers into boxes with parachutes attached and take them on a plane ride. After conducting some test drops from 75 feet, only one adventurous beaver jumped off prematurely, but the rest landed safely in their new homes at a whopping 6 each. This parachute method proved to be the most budget-friendly solution they'd ever tried. Arizona's got its sights set on these ecosystem engineers, but bringing beavers to the desert isn't as simple as just packing a bag and catching a flight. The arid landscape poses some serious obstacles. Water scarcity is a biggie, as well as that unforgiving desert sun beating down relentlessly. This has raised eyebrows, and for good reason. Can these semi-aquatic critters truly thrive in such harsh conditions? Before Arizona starts building its beaver metropolis, it needs to figure out how to provide them with the one thing they absolutely need: water. Without it, all that's left is a bunch of parched beavers wandering around the desert, which wouldn't exactly do wonders for their population or the ecosystem they're meant to help restore. Imagine being dropped into the middle of nowhere with a hefty task, building an entire ecosystem from scratch. That's exactly what Nevada did when it welcomed 47 beavers in 2019 and 2020 as part of a resettlement initiative. The goal was to kickstart the region's dam building process, which is a game changer for restoring wetlands and creating wildlife habitats. But it turns out that bringing these ecosystem engineers into the desert wasn't as smooth sailing as they'd hoped. The Nevada heat proved to be quite the challenge. Temperatures soaring above 100 degrees Fahrenheit for weeks on end forced some of these beavers into hibernation mode, holing up in their burrows during the day and venturing out only at night. You might think relocating these beavers to the desert is quite harsh given their timid nature and vulnerability to predators. However, there are some crucial factors that support this decision. Firstly, these beavers were originally caught by a university center responsible for handling nuisance animals. For them, it's either life in the desert or euthanasia. Secondly, they're sent only to regions where their species once thrived before, ensuring a more natural transition back into the wild. It's not like shipping them off to random parts of the Sahara. This move is backed by history and a bit of hope for these beavers' survival. Just imagine these beavers being whisked away from their temporary home without any idea that they're actually heading back to where their ancestors once thrived. It's almost as if it's their choice, but really, it boils down to their individual personalities. Some beavers might appreciate the change of scenery and others could be more reluctant. Scientists even conduct these bravery tests to gauge their temperament, introducing a new object to see how quickly they explore it or display aggression. Now, since beavers are known for their love of dams, why not give them a helping hand? Humans are pretty clever. We can definitely build our own version of a dam for them, especially in areas with less water where natural dam building might be tough. This idea isn't entirely new. It's actually part of an experiment to see if the beavers will accept and enhance man-made dams when they show up at these test sites. Once the beavers discover their new gift, they get right to work, adding another level or making it their own little home. While beavers have been giving man-made dams a helping hand, there are innovators who've gone the extra mile and built these structures all by themselves. Given our intelligence and resourcefulness, it's surprising that building one dam on our own can cost as much as $0,000. You could potentially build an entire house for less than this price tag. Scientists decided to give DIY dam building a shot, constructing different size structures without hiring any contractors. To their surprise, whenever these man-made dams were built, beavers would show up and take over the project. It's almost as if they understood humans needed assistance. Or was it that beavers just couldn't resist building something new? So, what exactly is a dam to beavers, anyway? Well, the dam itself isn't their home. Think of it more like creating the perfect setting for one. The dam slows down water flow and forms a pond where these remarkable creatures can build their lodges. These cozy homes serve as both safe havens from predators and protection in harsh weather conditions. Beavers have two ways to enter their lodge through water or land, ensuring they're always prepared. No matter what comes their way, beavers have got a back door covered. Inside their underwater hideouts, or rather lodges, these remarkable creatures have a practical area to dry off and chow down on some tasty plants. And when it's time to get some shut-eye, they've got a snug sleeping space layered with crushed wood and grass. The walls are like concrete made from mud that hardens over time, and the snow outside acts as natural insulation, making these lodges so cozy that other animals can't help but want in. Take the American river otters for instance. They'll use abandoned beaver homes to give birth or escape a downpour. And it gets even better, otters aren't afraid of crashing with their beaver friends either. They've figured out how to be roommates without any major issues, and it's clear both parties benefit from this arrangement. The otters score a comfy place to crash while the beavers seem completely unfazed. Although there might be the occasional attempt by otters to snack on beavers, these unlikely roomies generally get along just fine. So, it turns out that despite their reputation as being a bit pesky, beavers are actually quite the welcoming hosts. Beavers, those furry little engineers. They're known for building dams and lodges with remarkable skill, but when they decide to put down roots in places where humans live or work, things can get messy really fast. These clever critters are at their best in the wild, creating mini ecosystems that support a variety of plant and animal life. But if they start obstructing culverts, flooding roads, or disrupting irrigation systems, it's no wonder farmers aren't exactly thrilled with them. And let's be honest, when you've got a YouTube community documenting dam demolitions, it's clear there's a lot of frustration going around. In Riding Mountain National Park, Locals are constantly complaining about these so-called troublesome rodents. The thing is, even if you take out their dam, they'll just start rebuilding. Talk about persistence. Beavers have been making waves in the countryside, literally. In just over a decade, these tiny architects have driven away cattle farmers from their lands by flooding pastures. The ones who remained had no choice but to cut down on their livestock, turning once thriving cow grazing spots into off-limits meadows. It's not just about the cows. Beavers also get blamed for causing river floods and erosion of railways and highways. Now imagine trying to move a bunch of wobbly calves across one of these beaver-made ponds. Talk about a real challenge. Local governments are shelling out big bucks to try and control the situation by shooting beavers or destroying their dams, but it's clear that this approach isn't making much of an impact. Beavers are the real MVPs when it comes to water engineering, but sometimes their hard work can lead to a mess. In Washington state, one of these dams collapsed, unleashing a torrent of mud and debris that had residents comparing it to a roaring river. Yikes. The aftermath was just as intense, with some homes left damaged and people feeling the pinch. But what really caught our attention is that many locals didn't have flood insurance, despite their area being at risk because of beavers. So here's the thing, if you live in an area where these furry engineers are hard at work, maybe it's time to consider getting some beaver insurance.